Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins for the Old Bridge Park 2. Yeah, we do have new hole locations for the upcoming 9-hole cup with the Old Bridge Park. And I must say though that besides hole 4, I don't really see the hole locations become harder. Like I would say a bit easier on some of the holes actually, but hole 4 is a little bit tougher in my opinion. You will obviously see this here in this playthrough. Before we take a look at all the videos, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that are looking for the best guides on the market for Pro, Expert and Master Division, you sign up using the QR code here on the screen, or you go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. For the 9-hole cup, we offer expert and master guides for qualifying round and for the final round. We obviously have tour guides as well, so check it out and you will see that we have something for everyone. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind though that I'm trying to explain what to do in many different scenarios than just the ones that are on the video. And obviously when it comes to the clubs, you will sometimes have better clubs than me, sometimes have worse clubs than me, and also using a better ball or a worse ball than what I'm using. But obviously I'm trying to explain and trying to show videos where I'm playing in a generic way where you can replicate even if you do play with a different ball or with a different club. So listen to my explanations and not just focus on what you see on the video. So let's go to hole number 1. On the drive here on hole number 1, we're going to play an NNT, which means that we're not going to touch our target until it's time to adjust the rings. Playing with an Apocalypse here, I would like us to play with the driver that gives us the most topspin possible. 5.8 topspin and 2 right spin, and the 5.8 topspin is used this to mirror the amount of topspin that is possible for the lower level Apocalypse and other lower level drivers as well. Max plus 10, max overpower, outside wall right curl. We do want to get as far down the fairway possible without obviously risking rolling into the rough or sand. We do want to get into short iron range. And that's what we're doing here. And you can see here now that we are valuing playing with a thorn over any other short iron. Why? Is because we do want to allow us to play with all the backspin. Playing with all the backspin allow us then to go past the pin and roll back into the hole. Trying to bounce before the pin, attacking the pin in that way is going to make us having to play on that downslope after the bunker, and that's going to be very difficult to be consistent with. From here I play max plus 40. It's a lot of elevation, but it's usually needed when it's a lot of backspin to counteract for. Adjust, center the ball and hit perfect. And you can see here now that we're going past the pin, roll back into the hole for a nice eagle on hole number 1. For hole number 2, I'm decided to go for a rough bump. This, as bouncing on the fairway, is, I mean, it's bumpy. And now with the new hole location, I do believe that there is more value playing the rough bump than what it was before. 3 left spin and 1.1 backspin. Ball guideline through the hole with the inner ring to be by the edge of the rough line. It looks very scary with that rough patch, but it's actually quite a bit bigger than what it looks like from this angle. Adjust 1-to-1, so 5.2 rings for 5.2 miles per hour. And then we're going to center the ball and hit perfect. The idea here is once again to hit the rough, to catch a nice groove on the green and roll down towards the pin for an hole-in-one. Obviously the speed here, it could be an issue. Coming in too hot might roll you over the hole, but comes in with a good speed here on hole number 2. On hole number 3, the drive, we are going to play on the pad that is in the center of the water. And the reason we want to use this small pad or fairway island, whatever we would like to call it, is due to the fact that it will allow us for a drive that's not gonna be needed that much curl, and also we can get pretty close to green, and especially on this part 5, there's a lot of value getting close to green, as that will make for a much easier second shot. Max plus 10 adjustment using 3 left spin and 3.5 top spin. Now a small great right, and it's still being fine in terms of not going into the rough or sand. Rolls down the fairway nicely, and we are positioning ourselves for a grizzly on the second shot. Looking at the grizzly, we're gonna do a rough bump. With the new hole location, the pin stands a little bit closer to the downslope on the green. Even if you would be rolling down the green, it's still a very easy wedge from there. Try to find a reference, pin check, frame check, or whatever, because that will be much easier for you than to dial in the shot. Ball guideline to hole, and we are using left spin here. This, as I would like to take away the slope as much as possible that we do have there on the left of the green. Adjust is no elevation, and then together with true club distance. And here obviously having something dialed in by having a pin check, having a frame check will be super helpful. Otherwise it's going to be a lot of guesswork, and that will result into more times that you will miss than what you will drop. But the ball comes in nicely. We are slightly under adjusted, and that's totally fine. That's something we can tweak for the next time. Hole number 4 is, in my opinion, the only hole here that has been made tougher on an already tough course, and that is when moving the pin more right, they are now putting it just behind the bunker, which means that the rough bump that we have been playing a lot of times before is way harder to achieve now. So for me, that's a sand bump play. So I'm using a 4.5 top spin and 1.5 left spin, aiming 1 green square right of the hole. Adjustment here is 1-to-1, so 5.1 rings for 5.1 miles per hour, and I'm playing with my quarterback. Obviously, the more you reduce the wind, the better it's going to be, because it's gonna be less wind to account for, and especially when we're making a sun bump, it's definitely gonna be helpful to have a little amount of wind. Coming in just right of the pin, should have moved a little bit more left, but that's easy to say, especially after that result shown. So sand bump on hole number 4 is what I believe is the best chance for an hole in one. You can obviously use the fairway and bounce over the bunker, but you will have to have a driver with a lot of backspin to be able to play that type of play. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Hex Guides. We are providing Expert and Master Division, Qualifying Round and Final Round Guide for the Sunshine State 9-hole Cup. New hole locations for the Old Bridge Park. But it's not just getting a text guide with us, you're getting the whole experience, which is access to Telegram chats, access to the text guide, access to videos where you can see how the shot's being played as well. So do what more than 2,000 players has done already to join in a community that offers something for each and every one. When it comes to tournament play, 18-hole tournaments, 9-hole cups, and also tour play. So check out our packages by scanning the QR code here on the screen, or use the link in the description down below. And we have packages from start at $1.50. So check it out and sign up today. For the drive on hole number 5, we're gonna start with our Apocalypse here, and we are not gonna start at max. What we're gonna use is a Power 5 ball. The more wind resistance you have on your Power 5 ball, the better it's going to be. But I'm keeping this one completely free to play, using balls that you can obtain by Golden Shot and also in chests, free chests and stuff like that. Top of plus 10, blue ring by the rough line with Apoc 8. There's gonna be different overlaps with the lower level Apocs, but it's still you can still make this shot without any issues with lower level Apocalypse. 5.8 top spin, 2 left spin, half a ball of left curl. Try to hit perfect. We're playing a slightly aggressive line here, and what I mean with that is that we are trying to bounce on the fairway, then on the fairway into the rough to roll out on the final fairway. If you are too far left, then the tree will cover your aim. But what you need to have in mind here with this part 5 is to allow you for a shot at the pin, you kind of have to push it pretty hard on the drive. Otherwise, you will not have distance, and then that's going to equal an eagle only. So obviously you can play for that, but I think personally that's pretty boring. That's not really something I would like to show here in a playthrough. Second shot, I'm playing with my sniper because I have sniper 10. If you do not have sniper 9 or 10, I would recommend to play with a cataclysm or with a big dog to be able to reach to the rough bump zone. When you do have tailwind here on the approach, you need to leave the ball guideline very short, otherwise you will come in too hot. This because the ball guideline will be extended compared to how it looks now due to the tailwind. And also the tailwind will carry the ball a little bit further, which means that everything with the tailwind will make the ball come in hotter than what we may think. Adjust from max line, I play max plus 10. The adjustment is correct and the direction of the ball guideline is correct. The only thing that is wrong is that I'm aiming too close to the hole still, and we're rolling over the hole for the albatross. So need to leave it a little bit shorter than what I did in the video, and that is only to be applied in tailwind. Obviously in headwind and crosswind we need to leave the ball guideline at hole or even through the hole to be able to reach with that. Hole 5, tough albatross, but makeable. Hole 6 is one of my least favorite par 4s in the game. This as it's a super long one and there isn't really much we can do in terms of getting closer. Sure, if you do have a tailwind, you can try with a topspin boost ball to go directly over that big part of water that we do have. Otherwise, it's just to lay up on the left hand side and then attack the pin from there. What we're going to do is to set up with quarterback at the max P0 line, then swapping to a POC and using a P5 ball. Here, using a P5 ball with a lot of wind resistance is very helpful for the approach. We are going to go with curl. I'm using approximately 2.25 ball of right curl, trying to hit perfect. And again, this is a tough drive, very easy to come too far right and too far left. We do want to be as far right on the fairway possible, because the further right we are, the closer to the green we are on the second shot, because we do want to attack the pin, even though here from long distance it's going to be a very difficult one to drop. I'm using a cataclysm here. I would recommend to use the cataclysm or the big dog depending on which one you have in the highest level. Or let's say like this, if you have cataclysm level 7 or 8, then use that club always. Doesn't matter if you have big dog maxed. Otherwise, big dog 9 could definitely go before you go with a cat 5 or cat 4 for an example. All right, so there's different ways here to go towards the pin. What you need to have in mind though is that it's very hard to get the ball guideline to be different than here if we're not having more side spin. A 3 left spin would be perfect here. That would allow us to attack the pin in a much better way. Now what I decide to do in the end is to adjust max plus 0, and then I'm using curl trying to push the ball more left. But you can see here that even with this amount of curl, I still have a lot more to, I need a lot more. And obviously using too much, then I risk going into that bunker there on the left. But in terms of speed, the ball comes in lovely. Giving ourselves maybe the outside wall left curl, that would be giving us a possibility to drop that shot. The whole new hole location makes the pin stand a little bit further in front of the green, which I'm not actually sure if that's better or worse than how it was the last time. On hole number 7, we're gonna go for another rough bump. This is definitely the way, in my opinion, to play, especially now with the pin now being a bit more left. I think this hole becomes a bit easier than what it was before. Still a very long and a tough par 3, and playing with a driver that do have a lot of power is going to be very helpful. The quarterback will in headwind be an issue, as you will most likely pull into max club if not using a P4 or a P5 ball, which we don't really want to do on a par 3. So I'm using a 2 right spin, no back spin or top spin with the ball guideline through the hole with a bullseye by the edge of the rough line. We're using the edge of the rough line to make sure that we don't have to use any overpower or push up to compensate for landing further back, because now with starting so far front, then we're gonna land. You can see there we still land pretty far back in the rough anyway, and comes in lovely for an hole in one. We're bouncing the first bounce on the fringe or around the fringe, and then take a nice roll down the green. Hole in one here in hole number 7 is not gonna be something that's gonna be common, but it's definitely makeable. For the drive on hole number 8, when we do not have a send it, we are not going to send it either. We're just going to lay up, but instead of trying to push as far down the fairway possible, which has been the norm with this par 4 throughout the recent tournaments where this one has been placed, I'm laying up very short. The idea here is to go for a rough bump on the second shot with my sniper, which I do believe is going to be a better chance for a drop. Now, adjust max plus 10. I'm setting up with our quarterback at max P3 line, then I'm swapping to a poke. And I'm using 3 right spin and half a bar of a back spin. So, landing position which everyone can follow, spins which everyone can follow. So you can see here, nice simple drive, and we are around 305 yards. Second shot is gonna miss by a mile, but that's because I'm using the wrong elevation, so it's not really surprising in the end. We're gonna be very close to the min line, but what I'm looking for here now is to find the top of the yellow ring to be by the rough line, ball guide line to be just into the hole. In the video, you will see me play with no elevation, where if -10 is the correct elevation here, because as we do not have a pin check or a fringe check, and also are not counting rings from min, we are definitely not allowing us to have an easy time here. But -10% is the elevation through club distance, and once again the idea here is to clip the rough, let the ball roll down onto the green, and obviously get in the hole instead of missing on the right hand side here on hole number 8. You can obviously play this hole the standard way, or not standard way, but the way we have done it before, where it's to go further down the fairway on the drive using a long iron towards the pin. But you know me, I do definitely prefer a rough bump because it's allow you to not be affected by the wind that much. Hole number 9 is, in my opinion, a super boring par 5, especially when we're playing from second tee, as what's going to happen here is that in any other form of wind than straight tailwind, we're going to have to lay up. Sure, we can push the drive really hard and then try to go over the trees onto the green, but it's still gonna be such a lucky albatross, and it may be too much risk for the possible reward, in my opinion. So QB at max, at plus 10 yards, blue ring by the water, swapping to a poke and cat bag. The cat I want because we do need distance on the approach. Just before circle drop overpower outside wall left curl, the idea here is to have the ball to bounce on the fairway into the rough and roll out onto the pad. From here, we're just gonna play a safe shot to lock in our eagle, whereas obviously for those of you that do have, let's say like this, if you do have the possibility to use special balls here, you can definitely use a P5 ball with some wind resistance, and that will allow you to go directly onto the green by going over the trees instead of having to do what I'm doing here now, because there is a gap in between the trees that we can try to go through. But again, it requires a perfect drive and then a perfect second shot setup. So I'm setting up here on the right side. I'm using 3 right spin. I'm using also 1 top spin. Adjust max plus 10. I'm pushing the rings to make sure that the trees are not messing up with my view. And then I'm applying curl. And you can see here that I'm using all the curl that I can. And the idea here now is to get the ball either on green or to be on the fringe by the green to lock in the eagle. Because once again, we need to have in mind that this is going to be a hole where 99.9% of the players is going to drop an eagle or a birdie. But whereof the very, very small amount of people is going to go get an albatross here. So it's not the end of the world playing this one as safe as you can to just get the eagle. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough with various win for Pro and Expert Division with the new hole locations for Old Bridge Park. Make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen, or you go directly to patreon.com/golf-tommy. We will be doing a qualifying round and final round guide for Expert and Master Division for this 9-hole cup. So make sure to get yourself a pack. If you're looking for anything else, then tournament guides, we have that as well. So patreon.com/golf-tommy. In the end though, I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.